With almost 60% of Afghanistan's 38 million people facing a food emergency, the UN envoy reiterated messaging that the country was on the brink of a humanitarian disaster, as she urged the international community to find ways to provide financial support.
Our general impression is that the Taliban, however, is making genuine efforts to present itself as a government. Genuine efforts. These efforts are partly constrained by the lack of resources and capacity, as well as a political ideology that in many ways clashes with contemporary international norms of governance so present in this chamber. The Taliban have not yet established full trust with much of the Afghan population or convinced them of their capacity to govern. The movement is also struggling to manage some serious internal divisions.
She further warned that the financial sanctions applied to Afghanistan had paralyzed the banking system, with cash severely limited while traders are unable to access credit. The salaries of civil servants cannot be paid in full or at all, while hospitals are running out of medicine and turning patients away. The special representative says prices have gone up, instituting a punishing tax on the poorest and most vulnerable Afghans, warning that an entire complex social and economic system is shutting down due to the asset freeze and the suspension of non-humanitarian aid flows into the country. Lyons also reported that the ISIS offshoot had grown its presence into nearly all 34 provinces of the country.
I must report that the reality of the current situation threatens to heighten the risk of extremism. The continued deterioration of the formal economy will provide impetus to the informal economy, including illicit drugs, arms flows, and human trafficking. The ongoing paralysis of the banking sector will push more of the financial system into unaccountable and unregulated informal money exchanges, which can only help facilitate terrorism, trafficking, and further drug smuggling.
According to Lyons, the Taliban is working on a nationwide policy on the right of girls' education amid a general curtailment of Afghan women and girls' fundamental rights and freedoms.
We continue to call for a more inclusive administration in which government institutions reflect Afghanistan's broad diversity. We have seen limited progress on this issue, however. The composition of the caretaker cabinet, so called by the Taliban themselves, the composition of this cabinet remains entirely male, essentially Pashto, and almost all Taliban. At both the capital and provincial levels, recent appointments continue to appear designed more to rewarding fighters than promoting governance and inclusion.
She called for the establishment of a concerted pathway that spells out concrete steps for establishing constructive relations between Afghanistan and the world at large, with the well-being and the rights of ordinary citizens being the central goal of such efforts. Sherwin Bryce, please, SABC News, New York.